Alright guys, so this is the competitive Hulk team I was talking about. If you're looking at this team and wondering how I got 300 points out of this, don't worry, I didn't. What you see on the table is 260 points. I left 40 points of this open to interpretation for you guys. Once you hear how the team runs, I'll make suggestions on how to maybe start utilizing that 40 points. But this is the core of the team here where you're going to be, doing most of your work. So let's go ahead and talk about the individual figures. Then we'll talk about how the team works and suggestions on how to spend those last 40 points. Alrighty, so first up on this team, you noticed that I have two Hulks. I'm using the 106 Hulk from the Mighty Thor Fast Forces. I'm actually using two of them at 50 points. These guys have the Avengers and Brute keywords. This isn't a theme team or anything like that, but in case you wanted to use these guys on a different team or use this idea, but themeize it, that'll be there for you guys. So for the 50-point line, the Hulks have the Avengers team ability. They have a 10 movement with leap climb, 12 attack with super strength, 18 defense with impervious, and 4 damage. Now it sounds pretty impressive, but you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, there's no way to attack with these guys until we get to the trait, which is Hulk Smash, and it says when Hulk moves, after resolution, he can use Quake at no cost. So what you're going to do is you get that +1 movement from the Avengers team ability. You're able to move 11 squares on his own. Free action Quake. You can do it if you target multiple characters, it'd be 2 damage each. If you target one character, it'd be 4 damage. And then I have some little tidbits on this team that's really going to amp this guy up and make it so that you're going to see where we're going with this. And I think you're going to be really excited with this competitive team. So next, we're going to talk about how we are going to be able to move multiple times in a turn with each Hulk. Alright, so next up we have the Magneto Realist title character from X-Men Xavier's School. He has the Brotherhood of Mutants and Acolytes keyword. Nothing there that we're really going to be using or worrying about. That's just for your information. Like all the title characters, he starts with a certain amount of plot points, has certain things that he does where he adds points, certain things that he does where he takes away points. And then if he gets KO'd, something bad happens to your team for the rest of the game. But he starts off with a 7 range single target, which is actually pretty good. 9 movement with running shot, flight ability, also good. 11 range with psychic blast, 18 defense with invulnerability, 4 damage with leadership. And that trait that you see on his dial is actually for the title abilities. So as you can see, he starts off with 3 plot points, which are the title points. His first title ability, which is his +1, which is Mutants Must Force Change, says free. All friendly characters within range modify attack value +1 until your next turn. So we do have a way to get these Hulks up to a 13 attack, which is amazing. We're adding a plot point to ourselves, which is also good. Now let it be known, though, that when you use these plot points or these title abilities, he has a trait which is at the end of your turn. If the title character activated a plot ability but didn't make an attack, deal it 1 unavoidable damage. So that can be a pretty big deal. We are going to be satisfied just letting him take clicks of damage. We'll talk about how to maybe get around that later. But for right now, we're just going to accept that we're taking those clicks of damage. Then we go to his -2 ability, which is Magnetic Wave. Free. Move all friendly characters within range up to 2 squares. Alright, so that's pretty good. Doesn't have to be line of fire, just has to be within range. Then we have the Dream of Supremacy. This is his -9 ability. Not very likely to get it during game, but we'll go ahead and cover it. Free for the rest of the game as long as Magneto Realist is on the map. Friendly characters modify damage value +1. So we'll get all those Hulks up to a 5 damage, which is really good. If we're getting to a real lengthy game, that extra 1 damage might really help. So the idea here is to use Magneto Realist's Magnetic Wave to take 2 title tokens off of himself to be able to move these Hulks 2 more squares which is going to give them a second movement. So they're actually going to be able to free action Quake twice in a turn, which is going to be 8 damage each, or 16 damage total. Or if you want to go ahead and just, try to body slam a whole team, that would be 8 clicks for everybody if all your attacks hit. I don't know too many figures that are going to be able to take 8 clicks to the face like what this team is dealing out. So that is what he's on here for, and we're going to go ahead and talk about how this team's actually going to be able to get around. All right, so the last figure that's on this team that's on the board is Hellion. He is from X-Men Xavier School. He has the Hellions and X-Men keywords. It has a trait that is Hellions. When this character attack roll is 10 or more, damage dealt by that attack is penetrating. Also has another trait called X-Student, and it is when this character or an adjacent friendly character's attack roll includes exactly 1/5, modified target's defensive value -1. We're probably not going to get too much use out of either one of those. That's not what this guy's on this team for, but they're pretty cool anyway. He has a 6 range with single target. He has a 6 movement with sidestep, 10 attack with a special, 17 defense, blank, and a 2 damage with leadership. Now, if you notice, Magneto also has leadership, so we are able to pull some action tokens off, which is pretty cool. Hellion's not able to pull any action tokens off anybody, but he does add that 1 action total to the pool should Magneto go down for some reason, so I'll still have 4 actions. But the main reason he's on here is his special on his attack, which is push to the limit. Telekinesis. When Hellion uses it, you may deal him 1 unavoidable damage. If you do, after resolution, he can use telekinesis at no cost. Now, we found out that you can actually use his TK like 4 times in a row before he loses this special. We aren't really going to be doing that too often. If we were going to be doing that, it means we're being rushed. Somebody's coming over to our side of the field real quick. And what you would do is you would just use Hellion to, we're going to use him to TK both objects under the Hulks. Use the Hulks to pick up, equip both of their objects. Then we're going to TK him back out with Hellion. And then we're going to use Magneto's Remove 2 ability to at least get a couple Quakes in before they're able to base us. That would be like, if somebody's rushing over to you, how I'd get around that. But Hellion's on here, plain and simple, for that TK. You shouldn't need too many clicks dealt to him. I think probably 2 clicks you could get away with it for most of your team. And then after that, just have Magneto carry him around so that you can TK your guys around the board at your leisure. But next we are going to talk about the objects for this team. Alright, so the 2 objects that are 100% on this team are the Enchanted Crowbar and the Blood Axe. Why are they on here? Well, because the Enchanted Crowbar makes it so that Invincible and Impervious become invulnerability, and it gives the wielder exploit weakness. The Blood Axe is on here because it gives the wielder Steal Energy, exploit weakness, and Battle Fury. I'm able to get around Shape Change and Invincible, which are 2 big powers to deal with right now. With 12 attacks, everybody's dealing penetrating damage. That means those Quakes, I believe, are turning into penetrating damage. Go ahead in the comments below if I'm wrong on that. Let me know, because it's kind of important. But that would be nice if those Quakes were able to deal penetrating damage. That means there's 8 penetrating going across the board. Only way you're getting around that is with Super Senses, or Mastermind, and I'm sure there's some special out there that lets you get around it. But anyway, so that's why those are there. Another object that I thought about putting on this team was Thunderstrike for Magneto. That way, when he does hit somebody, it does knockback, and he's able to heal from those clicks for using his title abilities, but not attacking anybody. Alright, so now that we've gone over each figure, we're going to go ahead and talk about some modifications you could use. Like I was saying when I was talking about the objects, possibility on this team is Thunderstrike. You do have room for a 3rd object. That will give Magneto a means of healing. Also giving the healing cask to Hellion or another character that you use that 40 points on would give you a way to heal up Magneto if you were worried about healing him up. If you want to play this team before rotation, I originally had Jean Grey from the Uncanny X-Men Fast Forces on this team instead of Hellion. It brought a nice TK yo-yo mechanic to the Magneto, so that you had a backup thing. You had the Alpha Strikes with the two Hulks, and you also had the TK yo-yo. With this Hellion, you're not able to do that. You have to use the TKs right away. So no TK yo-yo with him. But if you're able to use it before rotation, like I said, Jean Grey, it only cuts into that extra points 10, so you still have an extra 30 to play around with, is a thing. And also, I contemplated putting Supreme Intelligence on one of the Hulks to give him a sidestep, which increased the damage output of this team from 16 to 20, because that sidestep that you get from the Supreme Intelligence was something you were going to be able to use to trigger Hulk's Quake. So that is another thing that I would contemplate using. If you're using this before rotation, then you also have the plethora of ID cards and other things that you could use. But those are just some of my suggestions. How would you guys use the extra 40 points on this team? Go ahead and put in the comments below this video. If you like this video, go ahead, give it a like, give it a share. Go ahead and post in the comments. If you really liked it and you want to support the channel, check out the description below this video. All kinds of ways to do that. Thank you for joining me. As always, please remember that it's only critical miss if you don't have probability control.